Meeting of the Dummerston Select Board to order. And our first order of business would be to approve the minutes of the previous meeting. And I would need a motion for that.
We approve the minutes of August 21st.
And I'd need a second.
I'll second that.
Okay, discussion. From the audience.
I just finished watching your meeting from 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
And as I'm looking at this, I think Paul and Jody were right here in the front row.
It's been corrected as of today.
Oh, is it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Thank
Yes.
you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Right. Any further discussion? Yes, I was heated. Several calls about instituting a dress code after that televised.
I am up to standard.
Yes, you certainly are. Well, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? So moving on to approve bills for payment. We have warrant 5, we have warrant 5P, and then we have a warrant from the Conservation Commission for $100.
I'll move to approve bills for payment, warrant number 5, 5P, and warrant Conservation Commission number 1 for $100.
I'll second that.
All right. Discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right. So, recognition from visitors and public comments. Do we have anyone wanting to speak? Well then, our representative to the Wyndham Solid Waste District, Michelle, if you'd like to come up to the table.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Hi.
Thank you very much for coming.
Hi, Joe Cook.
Yes, I don't think we met. Have we? I'm Joe Cook. Yes. How are you?
Not officially.
Okay.
Not
Yeah.
as you and the select board.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you for your very kind call,
Sure.
inviting me back to this position.
My pleasure.
I appreciate it. So what can I tell you?
How are things going at Wyndham Solid Waste? And there's a bill that was enacted by the legislature. Is it? I used to know the number.
148.
Okay. I knew there was a
World
4.
famous 148.
Maybe it's...
Well, things at the district are average normal. We're getting about the same amount of materials as we have been, sometimes a little less on those that really have some value to them. I will make the statement early and often. As you know, the board decided a couple of years ago now that they would try to make it easy for the public in general to recycle. Rather than have to pick through and figure out which was which, they said that they would accept everything. You know, numbers 1 through 7. Now, numbers 1 and 2 are the only materials that actually have marketable value. There was a short time, it was pretty short, when it was still possible to sell, find a market for the 3 through 7. That has recently, this year, not been the case. And as you know, when things don't get sold, they have to be thrown away. And that's the sad fact of the matter. And there's just no way to sugarcoat it. It's simply what happens. Now, the district will continue to take 1 through 7. We want to do that. We want people not to think about what they have to put in. They can put in all their plastics, which means that we're sorting out everything that's 3 through 7, just so you know that. There had been a rather major breakdown on a large piece of equipment there that took several weeks to get through. And get through it they did. The staff was remarkable. They actually did all the work they could manually without this baler working, and then they started to accumulate and had friends in the industry who lent the district roll-off boxes so that anything that had already been handled could simply be put in the roll-off and then baled when the baler was repaired. So that made for a very low revenue for June, which is never a good thing because it's the last month of the year. And so the year did not end on as good a note as probably every town had hoped it would. July, however, flipped the other way because the baler was working. There was a lot of work done to get everything out and baled and sold. So that looks good, but only at the expense of June having taken a hit. Now, all that being said, prices are moderate. They're not great. They're not as good as they have been in, say, the last 2 or 3 years. Of course, you know, they fell off the charts back in 2008 when everything kind of blew up economically and financially. But the district has made it through pretty well, all things considered. They're at the point now where it's not running even break even. It is not making money at this point, and so the push is on to continue to find more marketable product. There's already been discussion about potential changes in personnel. One always has to look at the largest expenses you have as a business. So these are challenging times, to say the least. Now, up until the springtime, I had been participating in the Planning and Operations Committee and loved doing it, but there came open a position on the Personnel Policy Committee, and in fact that committee did not have a quorum. So while it was not my intention to change committees, I would not have had time to do both. I wish I did. So I took that position, and so I chair the Personnel Policy Committee now, which also then means that I sit on the executive board too. So I go to a lot of meetings. Probably not as many as you do. I can't imagine how many you go to, but there's a lot going on. Now, obviously, you know, the elephant in the room is the fact that a couple of years ago the district said, let's have, you know, someone with a vision put a project on the land. And they did. The problem then being that the project moved along, there was revenue coming in, things were happening, but capital wasn't really handled properly. And so the owner and creator of Carbon Harvest regrettably was unable to continue in his position, and so he gave his resignation, and then subsequent to that, of course, he has filed for bankruptcy. Now, right now, the biggest person who is owed money is Vita, quite a large sum of money. The district is only owed monthly lease. But Vita has put out to bid to see if anyone else would like to use what's there, and see is there any, you know, potential for this being reused without just being torn down, and to continue to use the gas generation. Now, that gas generation is not as good as originally hoped. That was known even when Carbon Harvest was still running. But that doesn't mean there's never any more gas, because of course when you start to look at composting, which one has to do, since it's going to become the law sooner and sooner as the calendars flip over. Brattleboro decided to do their event with volunteers composting. And so there's been a very small area on the district land where there's been composting in progress, a large chunk of it, and it's just been handled with heavy equipment. Now, nothing's happening with that compost right now, and it could just sit there and melt into the ground, but it's the hope of the executive director and the district that we could get it in a position where it could be held over during the winter and protected, and also could then be screened, and it could essentially be a source of revenue. Now, I will make one insertion of a comment here, that there's a big if on that because of a big black eye that was had in Chittenden County. Because, of course, they made compost and they have a fabulous facility, but they accepted material that had herbicide in it. And there was no way to know it. And they're actually doing battle on many fronts right now, and especially with DuPont. It's unclear how that's going to work out, because this could be a problem everywhere. Anywhere that wants that compost, which ultimately will have to be the case. We will not have landfill room forever. We don't have the same source for the compost there. There is no animal source in it. So by law it has to be tested, and or at least no horse source like they did in Chittenden County. And so it's tested anyway. But it's Bob's hope, Bob Spencer, the executive director, that he can screen it. We have an old screen that had been taken out and replaced, and perhaps we can run it through that and simply just sell it bulk. So that's one avenue that he's pursuing, and he's also, of course, pursuing many others, including non-aerobic, which is, the big hot new news in the industry. And there's a good reason for it, because it's very effective. Although I was not on the planning committee, I did attend a field trip out in Wilmington and saw how it's been working there for over 20 years. And they have a very, very inexpensive installation, and that's what Mr. Spencer hopes to do. I would have to say that I support his hopes, and I think the rest of the board does too, but when you're in a position with no cash, it makes it a little more difficult. What else can I tell you?
Maybe just a little brief summary of the new bill that some of the
Act
trash
148.
haulers are excited about.
The state has decided that, given the fact that we're rapidly approaching no landfill whatsoever, it will eventually run out, and then we will be, like many places, having to have not our recyclables, all of our trash carried out of state. That costs money. It's never going to get cheaper. So they want to extend the life by taking everything out that has, reuse. And have required recycling. And it's on a graduated time frame, leading in over about 4 years, starting next year, 2014, with the largest entities who, create a lot of recyclable material. And so that's how it will start, is that they will be required to, and then other entities will be required, and eventually the folks of the state of Vermont will also be required. Now, you may say, how will this happen? There are no recycling police. It's an unfunded mandate. One just hopes that the citizenry has, enough good spirit to go along with it. I realize it's just still not common. There are still a lot of people that don't recycle. And certainly there are a lot of people that don't compost. That's going to be a hurdle all by itself. But those are the things that the state envisions will happen. We at the district when I was still on the planning commission, had a lot of meetings, and there were a lot of get-togethers with all the haulers as a group, and then a distilled group of haulers, because they wanted someone that could talk for them. And they've come up with some very good ideas, good enough so that one of the haulers, this would be Tim Franklin and son, Cheryl Franklin, she actually took the position on the Waste District Board to represent her town. And so, you know, her experience from that side of the fence is now brought into the board, and there's literally direct lines going into the Agency of Natural Resources from her specifically, because she's done a lot of research and writing, and also from our board, because we've just taken a lot of opportunities to have meetings with folks and start to try to address what are the pros and cons of how this challenge is going to be met. It's a big challenge. We're extremely fortunate to have our executive director, who's been in the business for many, many years in different capacities. Although he's never run a recycling district, he has had a lot to do with composting and waste. We also have on the board as our assistant chair another representative from the town of Westminster who works in the industry. So we have her expertise, and she's out of state in Franklin County, and therefore, you know, she brings a whole nother perspective to what they're doing and how they're going about it. And I happened to catch just the other day in something I bought that was wrapped in paper to get it safe home, and there was this article about what Massachusetts was doing and the governor down there about making it so that people have to recycle and more accurately have to compost. So it's in everybody's faces now. I realize that people don't always pay to get the reformer, or they don't read through it, or they may not have internet or find it that interesting. Everybody gets the town newsletter for free, and I've got a finger in it, so I've been writing up a storm, and it hasn't been, you know, gripping reading. I'm sorry to report, but it's been the truth. You'll excuse me while I silence this. It simply is what it is. I mean, I've tried to make sure that people are aware, A, it's coming, B, we're all going to be required, and here's how to think about it if you don't do it yet, and then what are the various deadlines that we're approaching. So essentially that'll be my theme in forthcoming free venues like the town newsletter, because I know they get to all our citizens in our town, and those are the people that I'm most concerned with. So 148's a big chunk to swallow. I know that the legislature is reconsidering some aspects of it. They certainly don't want to backtrack, they don't want to rewrite it, but I think they've heard a lot of opinions and may make some changes to it. I don't walk around with a printed copy, it's just too much paper to carry. If I want to look at it, I go online. So I brought nothing with me tonight, thinking that I couldn't tell where the questions might come from or what you might want to ask about. So I have blank paper, so I could go away and get answers that maybe I don't know answers to tonight.
Or do we have any other questions?
As a compliment to you, without paper, you've been very thorough.
Yes.
Why, thank you.
Splendid.
Thank you very
Absolutely
much.
splendid for me.
Right.
And very helpful.
I'm impressed.
Oh, well, good.
Yeah, Louis isn't so impressed.
No, Louis always has long days. So meetings are very somnambulent for some people.
On the composting, are they trying to do some significant composting already of some items, or not really?
Well, it is what is considered commercial, as in you can put things in that you wouldn't put in at home in your vegetarian, compost at home. I wouldn't put, a chicken bone in it, or some, old wet newspapers and paper towels and stuff. Well, newspapers doesn't count, but or paper cups, but those can go in there because it's going into a windrow in the earth. It's very similar to what happens at Martin Farm in Greenfield. And it simply just eats it up. It gets turned over, it eats it up some more. And so they pretty much take everything that's given to them. And the volunteer crew, the first 150 families, they've been remarkably good. I know a couple of them. So I can talk on both sides of that fence, so I know how they're doing. And they don't find any problem whatsoever in their kitchens with odor, fruit flies, regular flies. I have been doing it for years, and I don't have a problem either. I admit that I do cheat with the stuff that could really rot, which is that I put it in a shoebox in the freezer. And then when that gets full in 2 or 3 weeks, that's when I run down to the, to the waste district. But I know that it's a real issue for haulers as to how they're going to do it, because the state has written Act 148 so that they can't charge extra for it. It's supposed to be invisible somehow. Now, of course, we all know that the minute you start a truck, you start burning fuel, you start, paying people, and you've got permits and other associated expenditures, and they're not going to do those routes twice. So they carry a very heavy burden to be able to...
So the sorting can't be done at the district then?
Sorting of compost?
Of all the items. In other words, if somebody put a single bag of trash in, it can't be sorted there for recyclables, compost. I know I was talking to one other town.
If they put it in compost, yeah, that would just get pulled out of the compost.
I know other towns are talking about still just single sourcing to the district, and then it's sorted totally there. That's not feasible here. So the trucks don't have to go around twice, and you don't have to send the
Oh, you mean the potential of using those identifiable bags?
Well, maybe that's how they do it.
Yeah, that actually is one solution that Franklin County is using, and forgive me, I forget now if they're using a different color bag, or I think they just went to stickers. You buy stickers, so you have to put a sticker on whatever bag you put out that's going to be picked up, so it's very clear. Now, I know that, one hauler already has a divided truck. Some of the other haulers maybe won't be doing that. I haven't looked at it closely in the last 4 months. I'm not sitting on that committee to know. But I'll keep that in mind, that we're anxious to know how it actually does get physically handled, because it's a big deal. It's a very big deal.
Sorry, I thought you were finished. One other thing, and that is thinking about the town of Dummerston, and you may already have written this, but you said you're writing a lot informatively and using free print media to do it. Would it make sense for us to run your articles or an article that can inform people in Dummerston and the Dummerston views that this is coming?
That is where they've been, Bill.
They have been in there?
Yeah, because I'm on the committee for the newsletter.
Okay.
Come on, Bill, keep up.
I probably read them myself.
Yes, if it
just
sounds
forgot you
like
did.
it's ringing a distant bell, yes. There was none in the last issue. That's
Okay.
right, I managed to take the summer
All
off.
right.
And I figured everybody
I
else
took
would,
some of the
so I
summer
don't
off.
have to hammer them about it anymore. But,
Funny, I
yeah.
read reviews.
Oh, that's good. Then you'll see my name and address in the front. You know where to find me.
Yeah, have the egg
Thank you, that was a good report.
You have the egg removal device.
We'll take 5 to...
Really fretting
So I
on
can watch
this.
my face.
See, you get to sit, out where the spotlight is on, and I really appreciate the efforts that you put in, because I'm happy to sit, in the back rooms and just, toil away and make sure that I'm hopefully doing what you'd like me to do. So any other opinions, email, call, carrier pigeon, let me know.
No,
Or
just,
Lori. Lori will be kind.
Share your pigeon.
Just like to thank you for your dedication and having gone to a lot of the meetings there. The first year I was on the board, we complain about long meetings, or some of us do, and my hat is off. You do, I think, a great job for the town, and Lester Dunkley also.
Yes, and I
Yes.
can't ask for a better alternate. Usually whenever I tell Lester I'm not available or I can't be there, he's always right there. And I know there was quite some long time where he tried to, keep up with attendance, but, real life happens, so he can't make every single meeting. I will say, however, though, although almost every town has a rep, I think there's one that doesn't. We've actually had an issue on the last 2 meetings with not having enough representatives show up for quorums. So I suppose I don't have an opinion at this point other than the fact that it makes it so that it ties our hands to get any business done.
Right.
So, but can't tell you how delighted I am. Like I said, I don't talk trash, I talk compost.
I love that.
So there.
That's probably a new views too. Got a picture of that?
No, I didn't come up with the
I
quote,
missed it.
so.
Thank you, Michelle.
Well,
Thanks for joining us.
thank you for
Thanks
your
for coming.
time. Welcome to the board.
Well, thank
Hope
you.
you're here the next time I sit down.
Yes, indeed.
And I know the next thing you're going to see that has anything to do with me will be that, budget that's being recommended.
Right.
Do not count on any low fees this year. It will not be the case.
Well, do your best. That's what we're counting on.
I will. Thank you
Thanks,
very
Michelle.
Thank you
much.
very much.
Take care.
See you now.
Bye.
Now, let's see. If we can jump down under new business, the municipal planning grant. I think Rick Cogliano is here from the planning board and wanted to speak to us about that.
Hey, Rick.
Do you know everyone?
I think I've met everyone here. So for the record, I'm Rich Cogliano. I'm Vice Chair of the Planning Commission here in town. And as we have in the past, this year we're going for a municipal planning grant. The difference this year is we are looking to do a joint planning grant with the town of Putney. Last year we put in for one for the corridors, Route 5 and Route 30, to continue to work there. We were successful. We've been working with the Regional Commission on that. While doing the corridors, the area around Exit 4 has come up as, what do we do? What's the best use of this land, especially where we're going from Dummerston and transitioning to Putney Village? How do we best do that? Right now in our current zoning, it's a mishmash of rural commercial and commercial light industrial, rural residential. In the upcoming zoning bylaw rewrite, we're looking at cutting back on the rural commercial and the commercial light industrial, but also keeping some of that in that area. What do we really do? What's good there? What can we do there? I brought some maps and some stuff if people want to look at them. You don't hurt my feelings if you don't want them, but those are maps of the areas in question. And basically what we've done is Sam Farwell, who's the chair, myself, and Pitt Bannister, who's the chair of the Putney Planning Commission, sat down. We talked about a few things. Demand for housing, residential housing in town. Where would be a good spot in town to site housing, especially clustered apartment-style housing. Commercial opportunities, commercial development, where can that go in town? Infrastructure. Putney, as I think most of you know, has a municipal water and sewer system now. And the water system actually extends partly into Dummerston up to the Sunoco with a fire hydrant for water. So is that capable of being expanded into Dummerston even more to provide for maybe like a senior housing or some project like that? Also zoning, if you look on the map, you see we have rural residential and so does Putney. That's on the left side of the map. Our lines are like 150 feet different. So can we bring our zoning more to conformance with theirs, and can they bring theirs more into conformance with ours? And that way, there's not this stark contrast between the two towns. Also, transportation, I think I saw it on the agenda, there's a park and ride coming, and there's a meeting coming up on that, and that's actually half in Dummerston, half in Putney. So how can we work on transportation issues? Agriculture, what do we plan to do with agriculture in Dummerston, as well as what does Putney plan to do? And then conservation, especially with the river being right there. So that's the area in question, some of the things that we've talked about. So why I'm here tonight is in front of you, there's a resolution, and we're looking for your support for us as a planning commission to go to the state with Putney and ask for a grant, the amount of $15,000. There is no local match for this. This would be completely state funded. The state this year says, you know what, this is a good program, a lot of people like it, so we're going to throw some more money behind it and up the ante a little bit. So Putney will be the administrator of the grant. They're also writing the grant. My role in the planning commission is to serve as our liaison, to make sure that it's not just Putney's interests that are being served, it's Dummerston's as well.
So will you be the alternate authorizing official for redundancy?
I am not.
Oh,
I don't think we have that set up.
okay.
But my contact is Pitt Bannister, who's the chair of Putney.
Okay.
Any questions?
Well, I would entertain a motion to sign this resolution.
And move we sign the resolution for the grant for $15,000.
Second?
Discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? There.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for coming in.
Appreciate
Do we have any questions while we have Rich here?
I'm here, I'm at your disposal.
Yes.
Yeah, I still don't like the name of resource district to productive land.
Well,
That's another issue.
you can go to the hearing on the 24th, right?
That hearing is on the corridors.
Yes.
We will have another hearing later on with regard to zoning bylaw revision. And that was where we can discuss the...
So you could go to both of those.
Oh, thank you.
Anything else?
Like I said, thank you very much for coming in.
Yeah, thanks, Rich.
We'll get this all signed.
Great. Can you scan that and email?
Okay,
Thank you very much.
you're welcome.
All
Bye,
right.
Rich.
Hi, Rich.
Okay, so we'll go back to correspondence for information.
Do you have any more visitors?
Well, I thought we were jumping out of, we'd come back to that. We're jumping around. I was worried people, our home viewers going to sleep, so I'm just... anything under correspondence for information that you want to discuss? Let's see.
Was the,
Yeah, I'd like to discuss
Oh, yes.
Trans-Canada and Ferguson and...
Okay. There's, let's see.
Do we need to go into executive session?
Probably go into, we have 3 items of a legal nature regarding the Learning Collaborative, the Ferguson, and there's actually, I don't think there's much to discuss about Trans-Canada right now. But I think we should do those in executive session.
Should we delay that to the end of the meeting? Maybe not, because we
Yeah.
might have to take action. Thinking if we delay it to the end of the meeting, people wouldn't have to wait when we were in executive session.
How about we do that the last
Okay.
thing? So
Yep.
step outside and then come back in if they want, or they can go home.
Yep, good.
All right. The DRB hearing with the town of Putney to discuss this proposed, the park and ride.
Zeke, I have some concerns with this park and ride. I didn't really think seriously about the proposal that there be 82 paved spots, which in my estimation, I mean, and don't get me wrong, I'm all for park and rides. I think that's going to make more and more sense down the road as energy prices go up. But I see how many people use the park and ride at the covered bridge, for instance, and I just can't imagine that anything approaching, 82 82 vehicles are going to be using this park and ride for the foreseeable future. And I would think it would behoove us, and I would make a motion that the board express its concerns over the scope of this project as well. I understand that it is going to be lighted, which I think would create some visual pollution. I would think our energy committee would have something to say about that. I don't think that's really necessary. And further, that it's going to be paved, and I really don't understand the need for that. And this is a rural community, and again, I think our conservation committee would have something to say about that. So, I mean, these are state funds at work, and I don't want to turn a blind eye to the use of state funds, but I just think that I think this project needs to be scaled back. These are our funds at work, after all, as taxpayers. But I've got some real concerns primarily over the scope of this project.
So, would your motion be to send a letter to the DRBs and possibly the state?
Indeed, just questioning the scope of the proposal. I think that what could happen is if this were scaled back to, say, I don't know, 30 spots, and suggest that it not be lighted, and further that it not be paved. It can always be paved in the future, and it can always be expanded. But I just think that this would be a mistake to have a facility of this size on the town line with Putney, because I can't imagine anything like 82 vehicles ever using that facility.
Although you'd ask yourself if the park and ride at Route 30 West Dummerston Covered Bridge was larger, would it be used by more people?
I wouldn't think so. I've never seen it full.
Yeah, I have.
Is there a bus service like there is on Route 5, on Route 30? There isn't, is there?
I've seen a bus, and I've always wondered that question.
Because Route 5 has several buses up and down.
No, I see it.
So it would be a little more convenient for that.
The other thing I would ask is, have they investigated the need, and are the 82 spots justified, and the other things, the lighting and so forth and so on? Because you made very good points there, Joe, but I would imagine, I hope, someone had done some homework and said, this will suit the needs.
You would hope.
You would hope. But
Also, for security and safety, you definitely want lighting. Otherwise, it could be a very bad.
Isn't most of it already lit anyway because of the fire department being right there?
Yeah, except for probably not the Dummerston side of it, but you're right. I mean, there's still a significant amount of lighting there.
Does anyone know, are other such facilities around the state, are they lit?
The only one I'm familiar with is the ones up near Burlington, and they're always full and they're lit, but that's a different scenario. I think in the one in Richmond, I mean, you can never find a parking spot in the one in Richmond. I don't remember if that's paved or not, but it is lit.
that's what I was thinking of too, up there.
But again, that's a little different, I suppose. You got much higher population base, but there also are a lot of construction savings by doing 82 instead of 30. I mean, there's a significant cost reduction per site when you do more.
Would you accept a friendly amendment that we ask whether the 82 seems a large number? Have they done a study that shows that sort of interest in this?
Sure.
Did anyone second that motion?
No, not yet.
Well, I'm willing to support it if it yields the answers to the questions. I wouldn't support it to negate it at this point because I don't have the answers as to why they want 82 paved, lighting, etc.
Well, as I said, I certainly support the project. Just really question primarily the scope.
So the motion is to
Send a letter of questioning. Do they have a survey that shows the potential
justifies
demand?
this,
Yes,
yeah.
justifies the scale of this operation. And also, I would share your concern about the paving of it, such a large place, and the stormwater issues associated with that.
Is that your motion, Joe?
Yes.
I'll second that motion then.
All right, any further discussion?
And I would say as well, maybe I wouldn't get a section for this part, but I would also question the need for lighting.
I actually thought that was in your motion.
It
Lighting,
was.
the scale, the paving.
Exactly. Those are my concerns.
Yeah.
Yeah, I probably can't support that motion because I think it should be lit, should be paved, and I think if you're going to do it, you need to do it at a scale big enough so you're not going back in 2 years to do it. It would be nice to see some type of preliminary information as to the need of this, I guess, but it's pretty conveniently located with the exit to the thruway, the parking. It's not a parking ride, but with the current going by, and those current buses are up and down Route 5 all the time. So I probably won't support it just because I think it should be lit, should be paved. Gravel is a maintenance nightmare, particularly with rainfalls like we got the other day. When you get 2.5 inches of rain in 2 hours, your maintenance costs could be ridiculous. So. And I see there's a runoff pool here that's in the design to handle the runoff from the pavement. So I probably wouldn't support it, Joe. But that's just me.
Okay. Any other discussion?
May I raise a question from the floor?
Yes, yes, go ahead.
The current runs 4 times a day. Very few people ride it. I'm wondering if they're expanding the bus line, the current. There's no other bus that travels Route 5. The others come up to Hannaford and then through from Route 1. So is there an additional proposal to expand the bus routes? Because the buses are not heavily used.
All right, we
I can tell
have,
you what the route, what the times are. There are no buses on Saturday. I'm sorry, there are fewer buses on Saturday than on Sunday.
okay, so we have a motion to ask at the DRB and the state, was there research or how to justify this size and the issues of the paving and the lighting. So,
And another one raised right here, which I think could possibly get us some answers via this. I agree with Steve, too. If the right way to do it is to pave it and is to light it, then by all means. But I'd like the answers to those questions first. That's why I would support this at this time in the hopes of getting some answers to those questions.
I think that would be good. I'd like the answers.
Yes.
Yeah, I wish I had more time because right here I'm reading the site lights will be mounted on bases with the base to project 30 inch above the pavement surface. Oh, just the base, I'm sorry, okay, yeah. I mean, we need quite a bit of time to absorb this, I would think, but anyway.
You think the answers might be there?
The meeting is on the 10th.
I haven't found them yet, but I'm looking.
I'm sorry.
All right, call the vote. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Aye or nay?
Oh, nay.
All right.
There's plenty of egg to go all around.
Yeah, I know. It's my turn.
The motion passes. Would you like to write that?
Sure.
Very good.
Thanks, Joe.
Okay.
Thank you.
And you said there's a deadline of the 10th for some kind of a response? That would be helpful.
The DRB meeting, the joint Putney-Dummerston DRB meeting is on the 10th, I think.
Yes.
That's 6 days less today, that's 5.
I'll make a
Put some pressure on there.
We'll try to finish up the meeting quickly so we can get back and get to it. Okay, so I think that takes care of that category. Correspondence for discussion and or action. We have a letter from VLCT regarding the constable's authority. I had a call from our constable. Someone had asked him to serve a legal notice, and he checked in with Pam, and actually our constables, that's not in their job description. The state, however, does allow constables to do that. And so we just bring it up if that's something we want to consider at another meeting, looking into that, or if we're comfortable with the way things are. I think our constable was comfortable with the way things are.
I think that's what we want to leave them to.
Otherwise, any private citizen can call the constable at any time to serve something
Yeah.
at taxpayer expense.
Yes, he makes as much as the animal control officer.
That much?
Well, if there's no strong feeling about changing that, then we'll leave it like it is. New business. On an appointment to the Energy Committee. William Collins was here.
I'll make a motion that we appoint William Collins to the Energy Committee.
I'd sort of like to put it off for
A couple more minutes.
but given his late appearance, I'm willing to let bygones be bygones. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? He's our newest member of the Energy Committee. I'll be happy to send him an email.
Okay. Do you want me to let Geraldine know?
I'll copy her.
Okay, great.
Okay, a certificate of change to the grand list. Did everyone see that? That was due to, what did they say that was due to?
Current use.
Current use. Unable to process a change in a timely manner.
I'll make a motion that we sign the certificate of change to the 2013 grand list.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right. All right. We've gone through that municipal planning grant. Other business.
Well, I want to bring up, last meeting, we had a question, and it was about the appraisal of the bunker farm, and it
Yes.
got lowered. And Mr. Normando had brought up the fact that it wouldn't cost because of this school, and he was correct in what he was saying, because the state, that money would go to the state already, so it doesn't come to the town, so it would, he was correct. And that if that bunker farm did get lowered, it wouldn't affect the taxpayers of Dummerston as much, as long as it was done before December 31st. It goes on the grand list, the listers change it on the grand list. Before that, it would go to the state, and the state would do the changes to it. we need to take this school portion. And, you know, a lot of times we don't bring up things that were done at the last meeting, follow up, so I just wanted to make sure we
Good.
followed up on that.
Great.
I have two quick things. And maybe Laura, you can help me. Has something been changed on the lights in the covered bridge? And if not, who do we need to contact? I went through them the other day and the lights didn't come on. And then I had somebody call me and say that they had trouble. I actually was going through when it was dark from a thunder shower. A lot of people ran in the bridge and I thought the lights should have come on. So do we call Smokey on that, or?
Yeah.
Nothing's been changed, right? They're supposed to come on when the car goes through and
Yeah,
if it's
supposed to
dark.
know.
Unless you're driving too fast, I think.
At the speed of light.
Maybe
You
I can
want
get
me to
his
email?
number, or can you just, will you do that for me
Yeah,
so I don't
sure.
have to? Just, I'm just curious why the lights don't come on,
Okay.
even in the daytime if if it's dark, very dark. And then this person said they went through them at night and they didn't come on, so. And then the other thing is I've had 2 complaints on the guy on Beaver Pond Road that's tearing trailers apart.
Is that on Rowell Road?
Is that where?
Yes, it's Roll Road. Yep.
Yes.
One was the smoke from something he was burning, and the other one was he felt he was tearing too many trailers apart right next to the brook. And I know you've been over there, and I
Yes.
told both people I would bring it back up, and I don't know what our stance is or what.
We've had, I think we had even the Agency of Natural Resource Enforcement go out. I frequently go out for various places, as the health officer, or as animal control, or as the combination of the two.
You're making a lot of money, you see, all those
He's
jobs.
double dipping, isn't he?
Yeah, triple.
The times when we've gone out, he's been burning, you know, untreated natural wood. You know, I can't be
Yeah.
out there
Every second, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Agency of Natural Resources, I guess, didn't find any violations when they went up. That's my recollection. But, gee, I haven't been up in a couple of weeks. I should maybe...
You didn't get a call in the
No.
last couple of days because I asked him to call you as a
No.
health officer.
No, but that's, maybe I leave the phone off the hook most of it.
We had someone come in yesterday and mentioned it.
Oh, well, okay, I feel like I'll check on the covered light.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, go with Randy and then... Thank you. I due diligence, those are questions that have come up and...
Right, right, it's, yeah.
Thank you.
Any other new business? Any other business? If not, then to discuss a legal matter, I would accept a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So we will go into executive session, and then we will come out of executive session, and if there are any decisions to be made, we will vote on them then, and adjourn, I hope, early enough so Joe can get busy on that letter.
I was not going to write it this evening. I was not going to.